Good morning, all of you. Today's class, we are discussing about director, his position, and corporate governance. After that, time permits, secretary, position, and powers. So these are the today's topics, block 2 and block 3. In previous class, we discussed about what is a company, what is a company law and company law, what are the provisions of Company Act? If in case of what are the provisions of Companies Act with regard to company law, that is its functioning, the incorporation, registration of a company, the important documents to be filed at the time of incorporation of a company, alteration of those documents, and also prospectus. Now let us move on to our today's topic, directors. See, incorporation of a company and registration. If you look into registration of a company get registered as per the Companies Act and separate its existence from its members, legal existence from its members, and is being called as an artificial person. Second point, a company raises capital from the public. Now the question arises, who's going to manage the business? It's artificial person. Being an artificial person, company can't manage its own operations on its own. Second, members, okay, artificial person can't manage. Okay, let its member manage means so many members, because the owners, the shareholders are large in number for a joint stock company. So the question arises again, who's going to manage among these members, right? So there comes into existence these directors. So this, under this point, we are going to, under this topic, we are going to discuss about the direct introduction, appointment of directors, qualification of directors, and disqualification of directors. So as I said, a company is an artificial person having independent from its members. It cannot run its business on its own. So in the act, it acts only through some human agents. So the members, looking at that, members of the joint stock company are large in number, scattered different places. So to carry on the business, these members collectively elect some few people as the representatives on behalf of them. So those are among themselves only the people who are being elected by the members among themselves are called as directors, and these directors collectively we call as a board of directors. So board of directs. So these board of directors direct the function. Company controls, manages, and supervises the entire activities of a company. So it formulates the general policy of the company. They formulate general policy of the company. According to the, let us see the definition of the directors. According to section 2 of subsection 34 of the Companies Act 2013, the person is called as a director. That is, a director means a director appointed to board of the company. Thus, a director is a person appointed as director under the provisions of the Companies Act 2013. The director manage and control overall affairs of the company. So, while talking about the directors of the company, we need to remember certain points. That is, who can be a director? First, only an individual can be appointed as a director. That is, a firm or an association of a company cannot be act as a director of the company. Next, an individual can be appointed or reappointed as a director only if he has been allotted a director identification number. Okay, these are the 2 points to be remembered. Who can be a director? An individual only can be a director. No institution or association of a company can be a association or a company can be a director. Second thing, an individual can be means reappointment of the same director. Same individual as a director. If the same individual has to be reappointed as a director, he need to possess a identification number, director identification number. Then only he can be reappointed as a director. Directors' powers. If you look into the powers of the directors, directors can exercise the powers only when they are collectively. An individual director has no authority to act on behalf of the company unless he is so authorized by the Act or Articles of Association or with the resolution passed at the Board of Directors or resolution of the shareholders. So now we have seen who can be a director. The next thing is what are the powers? When a director can exercise his powers? A director can exercise powers only on a collective basis. Only the board, a board of directors can get the powers and authority to run or control or supervise, manage or take the decisions of a company. Individually, no single director can take or enjoy any powers. So if he has to enjoy, there are certain limitations. Means under certain exemptions, a single individual director will enjoy the powers, have the powers. What are those exemptions and when this director get the power, single director? If he made authorized by the Act or authorized as per the Articles of Association of a company or a resolution in a resolution passed by the Board of Directors or in a resolution passed by the shareholders. Under these conditions only, a single director is authorized to take any decisions usually. Otherwise, generally, entire board involves in that. The next one is deemed director. Who is the deemed director? A person in accordance with the whose directions and instructions of the board of directors of the company is accustomed to act shall be deemed to be a director of the company. Means under the board of directors instructions or directions, if any person has been appointed as a director for a time being, then he is said to be a deemed director of the company. Such director we also called as a shadow director. The person may even be a body of corporate. That is, no person shall be deemed to be a director of a company if the board acts on the advice given by him in professional capacities such as solicitor, chartered accountant, etc. Okay, so deemed director or shadow director means a person who has been appointed on the directions or instructions of the board of directors of company, we call as a deemed director of the company. Okay. Just a So a director, shadow director of the company. Similarly, a person may even be a body of corporate. Right? No person can be deemed director of a company. Board acts on advice given by it. Means board on their own can appoint a team director, but not on the advice of a solicitor or a chartered accountant of the company. Now let us see about the number of directors. Number of directors in case of public limited company, minimum directors to be 3, the maximum 15. Okay. Whereas in case of a private company, minimum directors to be 2, the maximum to be 15. If it is a one-person company, as per the new Companies Act, we have only one-person company also. In case of that, minimum 1, maximum 15. If more than 15 directors required to be held in a company, then they need to pass a special resolution. So sorry, there is a Ram Sivasena's possession is going on behalf of Ram Janmabhoomi. Please, sorry. Hello. Once the board of directors is constituted, the company can also increase the number of directors. Okay, it's with regard to our company may increase the number of directors within maximum limit of 15 directors specified under the company. More than 15 means special resolution. Yes. Women director. Women director under the rule of Companies Act, Rule 3. Every listed company or every other public company having paid up share capital of 100 crores or more, turnover of 300 crores or more, can have at least one woman director. Okay, this is important. This can be board meeting of company. Ordinary director is a director who attend board meetings of company, participate in the matters, and he also can put anything relating to the board. They are not a full-time directors nor a managing directors. Coming to the managing directors. Managing directors means what? These are the directors by virtue of articles of association or by an agreement of the company or with the resolution passed by the board of directors becomes a managing director and possesses certain powers in the management of a company. Like he also can occupy as a director's position, the managing director. Whole-time director or executive directors. These are the directors who work for a full-time employment in the company. Additional directors. These are the directors who are appointed by the board under Section 161 Companies Act 2013 between two annual additional director between two annual general meetings. If any director has been appointed as per the provisions of articles of association, means subject to the limitation of the provisions of articles of association, he will be called as an additional director. General additional directors hold the office only for next general. Say for example, last due to any reasons, he will be appointed, means he will hold the meeting position only for next annual general meeting till that next grade. After that, he will not. Number of directors and the additional directors together should not exceed the maximum strength fixed by the fixed by the articles under the board of directors. So additional director is the one who is appointed between 2 annual general meetings, and he holds the meeting only for a period of 1 year, that is next annual meeting. Okay, and this appointment of these additional directors also must be permitted. The provision should be provided in the articles of association. Whether the additional directors or the total directors of any company should not exceed the maximum limit that is permitted in the articles of association of a company. Okay. The next, alternate director. What is an alternate director? Is a person who is appointed by the directors. So authorized by the company in general meeting or for director called original director. Yeah. In place of original director, if means anything relating to them, remember articles of association, there should be a provision. So if articles, if the provision provided in the articles of association, a person can be act as a alternative director in the place of a director. Okay, appoint okay, or by special sorry. So who can be an alternative director? First, to be an alternative director or to appoint as alternative director, articles of association supposed to be provision must be there, or some special resolution has to be passed. Then only they can appoint an additional director. Now, who is an additional director? A person who is appointed in the place of a director or to act for a director on behalf of a original director during his period or during his absence. Okay, at least minimum for 3 months of time. That person is called as a additional alternative director. Means say X is the main original director. He is leaving and he may not be returned within 6 months time. Then he can appoint with the special resolution, or if articles of association permitted, board of directors can appoint some Z as an alternative director in the place of X. But he should act as an alternative director minimum of 3 months. Generally, the alternative directors are appointed for a person who is non-resident in India or for a foreign collaboration of a company. Generally, if a director is an NRI, so on behalf of the NRI director, alternative director may be appointed. The next, professional directors. Any person who is possessing professional qualification, do not have any additional interest in the company, call as a professional director. Nominee director, like generally banks and financial institutions which grant financial assistance to the company impose some conditions to appoint the representative on the board. See, board of directors, again, these are the directors who are acting on behalf of company, right? So they are supposed to, they involve in all the activities of company as an agents on behalf of company. So, but they are group of, board in the sense group of the directors. So, but relating to the financial aspects, bank and financial institutions ask one of the person to be responsible, act as a nominee. Okay, so a person or a director who is appointed as a representative of board of directors to be an nominee, we call as a nominee director. So in case of bank and financial institutions, in order to grant the financial assistance, a company generally imposes some conditions as to appoint their representative on board of directors. So nominated persons are called nominee directors. Small shareholders directors. Small shareholders means shareholders who hold shares of nominal value, not more than 20,000 or any other company. Okay, he will be called as a small shareholder director. Now coming to the, so this all under the who can be a director and when that type of director can be elected. Okay, appointed. Now the next one is appointment of director. Appointment of directors. The success of any company generally depends on the competency and the integrity of the directors, right? Because they are the agents who are acting on behalf of a company. So it is necessary to take very proper care and attention while appointing the director of a company. So section 152 of Companies Act provides that a person can be appointed as director of a company only if he has allotted a, in the beginning we said, director identification number. Okay. Now, the modes of appointment. Appointment of first director. There are different modes to appoint the directors again. If appointment of first director is different, appointment of directors by shareholders at general meeting are different, appointment of small shareholders directors different, appointment of directors by board of directors, additional director, appointment of directors by third parties, like appointment of directors by central government. So these are involves different modes of appointments as per the Companies Act. So let us see the appointment of first director. Usually named in companies, articles, association, and are appointed by promoters in the manner laid down in the articles. In case of articles of association, if the articles of association is silent about the first directors, then the subscribers of whoever there at the time of memorandum of association, they are considered as the directors of the company and they hold the meeting, means hold the office until the next directors are appointed. Okay, so for the first term. So generally, when company starts its operation, they're supposed to appoint a director. Those are called first directors. If in any case, if articles of association permitted or appointed, the promoters, if the articles of association is silent about the appointment of the first director, the promoters who act as or the individuals who act as subscribers at the time of incorporation of a company, without the formalities, that person will become a director of the company. Till what time? Till the next first director has been elected or till the next annual general meeting. One-person company, if it is a one-person company, in case of a one-person company, individual being a member shall be deemed to be the first director. Under the, he himself is the member, he himself automatically becomes the director of the company if it is a single-person company. Yes. Next, appointment of directors by shareholders at general meeting. In general meeting, if shareholders has to appoint a director, then he first appointment director is the primary managerial function of the company. Company has to appoint the directors because they are the agents who acts on behalf of. So generally appointed by the meetings of shareholders. In the general meeting of the shareholders, these directors are appointed. That's why they are elected members of shareholders, right? So the provisions regarding provisions of Companies Act regarding this says generally only a public limited company, because public limited company raise the capital from the public. So public appoint their board of directors. In case of private limited company, among members, depending on the members and the shareholders, shares held by the members, they will. So we are talking here about public limited company. What is who can be a partner director? Elected members of the shareholders will become the director of the company. Okay, so who can be a person, a shareholder who is having not less than 2/3 of the total number of directors of the company shall be rotational directors. So, okay, if a person, again, these directors who are appointed by the shareholders are two types: rotational directors, non-rotational directors. Okay, rotational director means he will hold the meeting for not less than 2/3. Rotational. How many will be there in the rotational directors? Say, for example, a company has 9 directors. Out of 9 directors, 2/3, that is 6, going to be the rotational directors. Remaining 3 going to be the non-rotational directors. They hold the meeting. Okay. So appointment of rotation. I'll repeat again. Shareholders, directors by shareholders in general meeting. Shareholders, generally company run by the directors who are the elected members of shareholders. So in the annual general meeting after commencement of business, a company will the shareholders elect their board of directors. In this group of directors, two types are there. These whoever elected directors are there. There are two types: rotational directors and non-rotational directors. Rotational directors are those directors. Means how many are there rotational directors? Means for every generally every 2 years or 3 years they will. So rotational directors, after total directors, 2/3 of the directors are going to be rotational. So for example, a company has 15 directors. 15 directors means 10 directors are going to be rotational, and 1/3 of the directors, that is 5 directors, are going to be non-rotational. Means these 10 directors every 2 years keep changes. And 5 directors will continue as long as their firm continues or as they live. Okay, so it is not less than 2/3 of total number of directors shall be liable to retire by rotation. These are appointed by the company in general meeting by the shareholders. Non-rotational directors, 1/3 non-rotational directors, they will not retire until only on death or changes. Okay, as per the articles. The next one is private procedure for appointment. What is the procedure for appointment of these directors? Appointment of directors by shareholder under rule. Procedure for appointment of these directors. Directors made by ordinary resolution at the general meeting. Simple majority of shareholders can elect. But they should separate resolution for each appointment. They should have a separate resolution for each appointment in the meeting. Proportional representation means appointment by proportional representation. The article so provided, then the appointment cannot be made by the ordinary resolution. Next one is the third type, appointment of small shareholders directors. The small shareholders directors are appointed to represent the small shareholders of the company. See, director in the company, shareholders may be large. So in the top, those invested huge amounts. And there are some shareholders, because company is collecting from public. So there are some shareholders who can invest very few number of shares. So on behalf of them also, means such shareholders who invested few number of shares in the company. For such shareholders also, there is going to be one director who is called as a small shareholders director, who acts on behalf of the small shareholders. Okay. So same thing has been given here. So what is that number of shares or the value of shares held by the shareholders to call them as a shareholder, small shareholders? So 20,000. So small shareholder means shareholder who holds shares of nominal value of not more than 20,000. Okay, but or whatever prescribed by the company is called to be the small shareholders of the company. The next one is both will come. Here the shareholders means equity and preferential shareholders, both will come. And these small shareholders of director only applicable to the listed companies. Companies which are listed in the stock market, only in case of stock market listed companies, these small shareholder directors will find. Next, appointment of small shareholder. Generally, director is appointed by the company on its own. Okay, the small shareholders directors are appointed by the company on its own on behalf of the small shareholders. Next, to be a director of the small shareholders, we should possess certain, like what, how can notice must be given in writing, Notice shall be given at least 14 days before the meeting. It shall sign at least by 100 small shareholders. Notice shall be given at least 1/10 number of small shareholders. So, to appoint a small shareholder director, a company need to serve a notice to the directors, to the shareholders. What notice? First, about the director whom it is going to appoint in writing only, at least 14 days before the meeting, and at least 100 shareholders must be there, and 1/10 of the shareholders must do the notice. The notice must specify the name, address, shares held by the person, okay, rights, dividends, voting portfolio, all these details have to be given in that notice. If any of the shareholders wants to propose the resolution, that information also, and the person whose name the shareholders has been proposed, that information also to be given in the notice. Now, under the same thing, the appointment of a small shareholder, we discuss about who is a small shareholder director and how it is applicable to which companies and how they get appointed and what are the requirements. Now, procedure for appointment. In order to appoint a small shareholders director, company should follow the terms and conditions that are laid in the Companies Act, Section 151. Only small shareholders can be appointed as a small shareholder director. He can file his consent in writing to the company as a director. So his consent also important. Yes. This, when he can be disqualified or vacancy. Disqualification of small director are same as that of the other directors. Okay. Or if he wants to vacate the position office, means if he want to leave the position as a director, a small shareholder directors the same again like a normal other directors should can vacate the office by information. Okay. Tenure of small shareholder director. How long these small shareholder directors continues? Generally, is appointed for minimum of 3 years period and no rotation. And the same person can also be appointed again and again, reappointed. Okay. So anyway, altogether, a person to be a director need to possess the identification number. So here that we don't need to specify. If you specify also, no problem. So he continues for 3 years, minimum of 3 years. If a firm and a small shareholders also proposes the same person, he can continue. He can be appointed as the director again. Small shareholder director is more than 2 companies, but he should not be a small shareholder director for 2 companies. More than 2 companies. Any 2 companies, okay, but not for more than 2 companies. Okay, so you are supposed to remember all these are under appointment of small shareholders director. Now the next one is appointment of directors by board of directors. That is like additional directors. Generally, directors are appointed in the general meeting. Okay, if a board of directors wants to appoint any additional director, they can appoint. When appointment of additional director in order to file the casual vacancies or to appoint an alternative director or to appoint a nominee director. For any of these reasons, board of directors can appoint an additional another director. So we have seen on the above also. So power of board of directors. So appointment of additional director. If they want to have one more director, but not more than the Act and the Articles of Association provision. Or if they want to fill any vacancy, casual vacancy of any director. Or if they want to have an alternative director in place of NRI. or if they want to appoint a nominee director for the financial aspects of a company with the bank or financial institutions. In any of these situations, the board of directors can appoint a additional director. So what are the powers? Appointment of additional directors. Just may appoint additional director from time to time, authorized by the Articles of Association, both a private or public company. But the provisions are authorization. First, to appoint them, they need to have a Articles of Association should permit these directors. And term of office of additional director generally till the next general meeting. Only for a limited period he'll last any of the directors. Okay, and position is like the same as the other directors has the rights and powers, liabilities like any other directors. Even these additional directors possess the same position. And he also appointed some, he can also be appointed as a full-time director or managing director if provisions of Act accepts. Okay. Next, filling up. In case of filing, if a director is appointed by the board of directors, for filing the casual vacancies, filling the casual vacancies, then official director, that means one director term is over and now new director has not been appointed or selected. Then after expiry of the expiry of the term of the existing director, when that director's position gets vacated, in his place the director can be appointed under casual vacancy situation. Okay, by special passing a resolution in the board of meetings. Next, appointment of alternative director. A director can be appointed alternatively in place of if any NRI. Appointment of nominee director. To be a nominee director should not retire by rotation. He should be a 1/3 part of the non-rotational director. Require hold qualification, is not possess any qualification says, and company's articles of appointment, he can appointed if there is no provision assisted and can be removed only by authority appointing them. He cannot be removed that easily if he is acting as a nominee director. Next, appointment of directors by the tribunal. Whether the tribunal, company's tribunal, what a power to appoint nominee director or board of directors of the company requires to conduct the public interest or with the public interest. So any person can be appointed director of a company if he possesses the meeting. Okay. So now next is the qualification of a directors. Qualification is no direct provision in the Companies Act. This Act not published any academic or professional qualifications for directors. But a director must be an individual. An association or body corporates cannot be a director of the company. And a director must not suffer from any of the disqualifications, like any legal allegations or remarks must not be there. Disqualifications of the director. To be, it's important from the examination point of view. Okay, so let us see the disqualifications. Who is of unsound mind and competent, not a competent. Then a person who is an undischarged insolvent means he is an insolvent. He himself not cleared his debts. How can he manage and he preoccupied with the debts? So he cannot be a director. So who has applied to the court to be declared as insolvent? Who applied IP veteran and then the insolvency petition. So a person who applied for IP also cannot be a director of the company. And a person who has been sentenced to imprisonment of 6 months, not less than 6 months, also cannot be a director. A person who has not paid calls in his shares for 6 months also not be a director. Who is not paid the exam fees is also not a director. Okay, so these are some of the disqualifications of a director. Now coming to, so under this topic, we discuss about being a company, being an artificial person, having independent existence from the law. It needs to person to act on behalf of itself to undertake the business activities or the functional activities of the business. Those agents are called board of directors, and a director, a person can be appointed as a director under the Companies Act to manage and control the overall company, overall activities of the business. Okay, so to be a successful company depends on the competence and integrity of the directors. We have different types of directors. Each of them have certain rules and regulations to be appointed. Then also to be a director, qualifications, but whatever the rules and regulations, to be a director, along with that, they should also possess certain qualifications. They should not be, okay. Qualification is no director position as regards to qualification should not be regarded yes. Next term, third party means debenture holders, financial or banking company, financial corporation, advance loans to the company. Directors so appointed are known as nominee directors. And as regards to the qualification, there is no specific qualifications required by the provisions of Companies Act. Okay, and because it's not given any information relating to the qualifications of the directors. But a director must be an individual, not an association or a body corporate. He must act, should not act as a director more than 2 companies. Okay, and he should not suffer from any other disqualifications like insolvency or petition of insolvency, etc. That's about directors. Now let us move on to secretaries. In this chapter, we are going to discuss about services. Services, position of directors. Oh, we are still in position of directors. Yes. Duties have been specified. Actually, the position of director, that they act as a trustee of the company, they act as the agent of the company, managing partners of the company, and they also act as the nominees of the company. Okay, anything they can act. Exactly, they are everything to the company. Okay, so the trustees, agents, others, managing partners. So as one judge put it, each of the expressions is not exhaustive of their powers and responsibilities, but as indicating his points. Duties of directors. Let us see the duties of directors. Being a director of the company, undertaking all the important aspects of the company, decisions and functions, they are supposed to follow certain duties. So first, duty of good faith. A director of a company shall act in good faith in order to promote the objects of the company for the benefit of its members, also in the best interest of the company, employees, shareholders. The director should act with the utmost good faith and also to protect the environment. Second one is duty of due and response, reasonable case. case reasonably, he should act as a director of the company. He should not take undue advantage of his powers. He should be careful enough in taking any decisions, actions, and his use his skills and diligence in exercising his decisions or judgments. Next, duty not to involve in conflict of interest. Yes, he is not supposed to involve in any conflicts or for any personal interest. Okay, involved in a situation which is personal interest. Means he should not take the business or the company as per his personal interest. Okay, in which he has his personal interest. Okay, we should not lead any conflicts. Next, duty not to obtain gain or advantage. As being a representative of the company, he should not think of making his own advantage or making his own gains. He should think, that is the reason why in the first itself, utmost good faith. He should think for the entire company, employees, shareholders, other members, management working under the company. Okay, he should not take any over advantage or gain with the powers that he possesses. Duty not to assign his office. Yes, he should not assign his duties or responsibilities to any other person without the consent of other directors. If we do so, that would be void. Okay. Penalty for contravention. If a director of a company contravenes any of the above duties, he will be punishable with a fine of ₹1 lakh or to maximum of 5 lakhs. That's about the powers of directors. Now we have seen the duties of the directors. Now the liability of directors is a director is liable. Okay, was liable to outsiders if they act for the company within the scope of their powers. See, if any, because they are agents on behalf of the company, so they'll become liable if they act within the scope of the powers. They'll become liable whatever the acts that have taken on behalf of the company. In certain circumstances, directors are personally become liable also. Actually, in the companies, liability of members is limited by shares. But if they go beyond their powers, they sometimes they also become personally liable. So look at this. Directors act in their own name rather than the company name, or directors act ultra vires of the company. Ultra vires means what? It's a Italy word, ultra vires, beyond powers. Okay, ultra vires means beyond the powers given by the company. If they act, then also they'll be punishable, liable, and private, personally liable. When directors do some torturous, means civil wrong, then also they are personally liable. And if the directors, if anyone proves that if they provided statements or untrue statements in the prospectus of the company, then also such directors become personally liable. And if the director fails to repay the amount of applicants whose applications have been rejected at the time of issue of shares, then also they become personally liable. Allotment money or debentures, stock exchanges. Now, liability to company. So liability to company. Here the liability of directors to outsiders. Now liability to company. A person contains untrue statements. If if the prospectus contains untrue statement, is liable to shareholders. Here also to company also 10 years will depending on the misstatement from the content will be punishable with imprisonment of 6 months and may or to 10 years also can be the fine. The next one is when the returns of allotment is not filed with register of Same thing, whatever is in criminal, like you need to submit or true and fair statements. Okay, otherwise it will be punishable. And next, second thing is a prospectus. Prospectus is okay. The next one is when written allotment is not filed with the registrar within 30 days of allotment. See, they allotted shares and shareholders to whom shares are not allotted, their money has to be refunded. If within the allotment of 30 days of allotment, if they don't return, then also it is a criminal liability, they will be fined. Next, notice of consolidation of shares, subdivision of shares, or conversion of shares into the registrar within 30 days. Yes. A director, being a company under the position of directors, if any shares are being consolidated or reduced or subdivided, that information has to be given to the registrar of companies within the 30 days of such modifications, like consolidation, division, or all. If not, company will again these directors will be liable up to 1,000 maximum, from 1,000 to 5 lakhs. Okay. The next, a certificate of shares and debentures not delivered within 2 months. The company failed to deliver a certificate of shares and debentures to the customers, then also it is liable to. Okay, done? Right? Yes. Next, shares and debentures. Shareholders and debenture holders, whatever certificates are to be delivered to them, that are to be delivered within 2 months. If not, means 2 months from when, from the date of allotment of a shares. Okay. Or from the transfer of shares from 1% to 1%. If it fail, you will be punishable. Next is that register of changes in norm maintained by the company. Like see, whatever the changes are made in the company functionings or main structure or anything, not registered, those changes are not registered, then that director will be punishable. Yes. When annual returns or whatever the function that he is supposed to do, if he fails to do any of such responsible functions, he will be punishable. Some punishments will start with the minimum of 1,000 to maximum of 1 lakh like that, or 10,000 like that. And some start with the minimum of 1,000 to 5 lakhs. The removal of directors. A director of company can be removed before the expiry of his period. But to remove the director of a company, there is this provisions provided. When a director of a company can be removed, the company wants to remove. Removal by the company. Company may remove a director before the expiry of his period. Okay, but he must give a resolution and give a minimum 14 days of report. On the receipt of such notice, generally to remove some procedure involves. I think removal, a special note of resolution to remove a director is required, and such resolution must be given to company not less than 14 days before the meeting. Removed by the company to the court action. Such notice the company must send it copy to the director concerned. Okay, members will remove now. So legal provisions, what are the legal provisions? First, a special resolution. and a notice to the company with 14 days before. Then that once the notice is issued by the company, a copy of that is sent to the director concerned and other director entitled to make the representation. Okay. Then the director submitter is director support this. The next general meeting of company shall be held at the proposal to remove the director shall be discussed at the meeting. The concerned shall have the right to hear the meeting. Even whoever the director is proposed to remove, that director can also be in the meeting and he can attend the meeting. If in a general meeting by ordinary resolution, acceptance is issued, that can be removed from the meeting. Circumstances under which director cannot be removed by the company. Director is appointed by the system of proportional statement. Then circumstances under which the director cannot be removed by the company. When director is a director appointed by the tribunal. In these two cases, he cannot be removed. Next, filing the vacancy caused by removal. If a director has been removed, then you supposed to be filed the vacancy okay, with a special notice, and an appointment has to be proposed by giving a special notice about the removal of the director. And the directors who are appointed will go in the place of removal of director will hold the meeting for a period of one annual meeting. Okay. That again when normal director again. He also next one is that sometimes an application made to the tribunal for the prevention of operation and mismanagement. Such application, if the tribunal is satisfied that the review should be granted and it terminated any agreement of the company with director or managing director. It also removes the managing director or the manager or directors of the company. Okay. The next one is loans to distributors. Sorry, loans to directors. Directors, Corporation provision on loans according to section. Directly advance any loan to the following any director of the company or any director of the holding company, and they can take the loan. They cannot take. Okay. Provision on loans. No company shall directly or indirectly advance any loan to the following. So, following directors should not take any loans from the company. Who are they? Director of the company or a holding company. Partner, relative, or such director. Form is such director is relative is a partner. A private company which such director is the director member. A body corporate in which 25% of the voting power is controlled by that director. These people cannot get the loan from the company. Provision from giving guarantee. Selection also prohibits the company from giving guarantee for the loan taken by the director. Restrictions stated above are not applicable. Okay. So, what are giving loan to managing or role-type director, part of conditions. Giving loan to a managing director, whole-time director under any scheme approved by the members of special resolution. company which is in the ordinary course of business, the loan made by holding company to its whole owned subsidiary companies, a guarantee given or security provided by holding company in respect of loss made to its whole owned subsidiary company. Under these exemptions, loans will not be provided. Application of the restrictions stated above not applicable. Okay. See, these directors are not provided loan, means they are prohibited from taking advance as, in the form of loan from the company. Okay, provision given by guarantee also is also. They not give any guarantee, but there are certain exemptions. Exemptions means under certain exemptions, the directors can take the loan. Means giving loan to the managing or hotel director as part of conditions of service extended by the company, and giving loan to manager or hotel director under any scheme approved by the members of special resolution, or company which is in the ordinary course of business provide loans or give securities for payment of loan. Then also the loan made by holding company to its wholly owned business subsidiary business, guarantee given or security provided by holding company in respect of loss made to its wholly owned subsidiary company. Under these circumstances, those directors can get a loan. Application of office. Yes, this is simple. We can go through. We covered all the important topics. So please go through this manager remuneration of directors and vacation of director, office director. Okay. Thank you. And tomorrow we'll discuss about secretary. Okay. We'll discuss about the secretary of the company and his position, powers. His position and powers. Thank you.